Wow, it is now session 3. We've tackled all that, but we are not yet done. And it's great to have you back on the session as we again dive back to the conversation. Retirement planning. Are organizations ready? Is the government supporting? Do you have a responsibility to play? Welcome to the show again, Josephine.
Thank you very much, Japheth. It's really nice to be here with you to just continue this conversation, even as we look at everything and realize that there is hope for us and there is what we can do, which is within our control.
And maybe just to divert a little bit, on top of income adequacy, reintegration back to the community, there's the concern about the medical bills. And people are comfortable to go back home and live in a house they did, do a little bit of the farming and feed themselves. So food may not be the issue. They get some few thousands here and there to take care of the small needs around. But you are of your age and you're required to go into a private hospital, which in most cases you may not with the little thing that you have. How do you address that issue? First of all, if you're already there, and second, if you're not yet there at my age, how do I plan for that?
Yeah, so that is a really important aspect of retirement. And it's something that if you are still in a position to, it's important for you to plan for a medical cover that would allow you to get the services that you are expecting to continue getting. So it's important for you to then be able to just get the information that you need and get into a scheme. And usually the earlier you get into a scheme, the easier it is for you, as opposed to you getting into a scheme later on in life. It actually becomes more expensive. So this is something that it is important for you to plan for. And if you unfortunately had not planned for, it's still important now to then look and see, so what is available, and get into a scheme that would then be useful to you. And I like that NHIF also has the plus schemes where you're able to acquire services, even additional services that then would be important to you, because there's one thing you need the comfort of, is knowing that if you do require help, medical help in retirement, that you're able to get it. I also have seen instances where this can really be a challenge, and this can be a strain in families where you now are waiting for families to support a medical situation, and in many cases this is a burden on families that already are strained as it is. So this is then bringing additional strain to your family members, something that you do not ideally want to do. And sometimes you even see people being neglected at that point, because you need these services, you don't have anybody to help, or maybe the people who may have helped are not in a position to. So this can truly be a strain at a difficult time in life.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was reading somewhere and they were saying 85% of Kenyans above the age of 65, they are having challenges at retirement. Some of them are accelerating towards poverty as we sit here. So do you think it is weak social security structures and systems we have in Kenya? Is it the issue of employers who are throwing people into poverty, or is it individual mistakes that people made?
So I would say that the problem is all of the above. Our social security truly is not the strongest, far from it. Some organizations are doing a great job at this. Some organizations not so great. And then individuals are preparing themselves, and some individuals are so busy with the day-to-day life that they find retirement catching them by surprise. So all of these are to blame for that figure of 85% and above. But then I would like to say, in as much as I can sit here and complain about the social security system of Kenya, is it going to change in an instant? Truly, it will not.
No, it will.
If I sit and blame my organization and I have already retired from it, is it going to change the situation for me today? Truly, it will not. So I feel that as individuals, one of the 85%, everyone in that 85% then needs to then check where they are and look to see, so what am I in a position to influence? Can I influence the social security system of Kenya today? Well, I can advocate for it, but even if it's changing, it's not changing today, so it may not positively work for me today.
Yes.
It may work well for my children.
Yeah.
When I look at the organization, if you're already retired, you can you can share, you can speak, and you can sensitize people, but then it will still not change your situation today. So it's really looking to see, what can I do about my situation today, and being more proactive then to see, okay, did I save? Am I in a position to get something that will work for me? Can I invest my money where it would then work for me? Am I able to look at the skills that I have that are transferable, that are not age limited? What can I do? So it's really coming back to, what can this individual do, in as much as we trust that the situation in the country will change as a nation, and then also organizations will do things differently. I still need to go back and ask, what can I do about this situation? Because ultimately, I am the one affected. So I then need to see, what do I do so that I don't also end up down that chute of poverty. Yeah, so I need to be asking myself those questions. I need to be proactive about really assessing myself and seeing, what can I do about this situation.
Wow. I know we can't talk to the government so much right now, because maybe our voices are not as loud, but you have pointed to organizations doing things differently. What are your proposals?
So we have seen organizations that have made this work. We have seen organizations that have a robust program that allows people to retire, if I can use that word, honorably. Yeah, and they are receiving a package that allows them to live in a particular manner for the rest of their lives. But you and I know that this takes a lot of money, a lot of resources to do this. So I believe that what organizations should be doing, in as much as they should be helping people by providing this package, I think the greater part is to start preparing the people for retirement. And I believe that this should be done as and when the people are signing up. Yeah. I believe that then organizations should sensitize people, make sure that they have a periodic program that sensitizes the individual, so that you're coming in, this is a young person coming into the work space, maybe at the age of 25. But this is a person who is already being sensitized to the need to start preparing for retirement. And every year, he is being prepared, so that even if they didn't take any action at 25 and were just waiting for the organization, 2 years down the line, they're being reminded of the same message. So they're already beginning to think, wow, okay, yes, so it's important for me to sign up for this. It's important for me to start thinking. Then that way, the person is already, their mind is already engaging in what it is they will do at 60, so that it's not catching them by surprise. They're already preparing. Maybe even realizing, wow, okay, I need, at the age of 60, I don't want to be living in a rented house, for example. So they're already preparing for things like this. So I feel that that is something that is within the circle of influence of an organization to actually start doing, and that is something that an organization can start doing now. It would require some resources, but I believe the resources would be minimal, and this is something that the organization can start doing, even as we continue to advocate for strengthening of the frameworks even within the country.
Interesting. So that is organization. Do you think Gen Zs and Generation Alpha are taking these with much seriousness, as they should? Is it their concern?
It's interesting. So you say Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and I think the way I look at it is all these generations at that age didn't take it seriously. So I don't think it's different for the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas. I think when someone, and I myself, when I'm thinking of when I was 25, I didn't think that I would get to 50. I mean, I didn't even I didn't have a doubt I would get to 50, but I didn't think of me at 50. I was so strong. Yes, I had the world before me, and wow, there was nothing I couldn't do. So I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so I feel that at that age, it's not something that comes naturally for someone to think about, and that is why I'm asking that there be deliberate processes that allow people to think that. And then this then brings me to the fact that I'm even thinking it should not just be left to organizations. A lot of people are coming out of college today and they're not going into formal employment. A lot of people are coming out of college and they're starting their own businesses. But I feel that still at the age of 25, wherever you are, you should be prepared for this. So it's really looking to see how can us as a community, as a society, prepare people from that age to actually start thinking about this. So probably sensitizing through, even in high school, sensitizing in colleges that, you know what, it's important to start thinking, where do you see yourself at age 50? How do you want to be living at age 50? So that then people can start putting in place that which would allow them to live the way they would like to at that age. Really forcing us as a society to start thinking that way.
Early preparation, even at the society level. Is it good to put it in a curriculum somewhere in a school?
I think it would be useful for it to be part of a curriculum, but I believe it is something that we should be sensitized to, even as a society, so that even if I'm not in school, I am a young person, but I'm already asking myself questions and really looking, really painting a picture of me 30 years from today, and then asking myself, so what can I do today to ensure that that is where I will be 30 years from today. So I'm thinking, yes, interesting in a curriculum, and it should be there, but I'm also thinking that we have more conversations so that indeed this is something that as a society people are engaging in and looking at, so that it truly becomes part of us.
Wow. So you've mentioned something, that those who exit school and they straight move into entrepreneurship and they're not going to formal employment. And retirement has been looked at as something that those in formal employment actually do. So for these who going into self-employment, entrepreneurship and all that, are they also candidates of retirement preparation, and how do they go about that?
I believe they are. I believe they are, because even if you're self-employed, a time comes, for example, someone who is 70 is not as engaged in their business many times, or somebody who's 80, and these days we're seeing people living longer. Yeah, life expectancy is growing. So you find somebody at 80 will not be as involved in the business and probably will have handed over. So I believe even those in self-employment should be preparing for retirement. They should be preparing for when they will not be as involved in the business. And to see, so what will they do then? How will they live then? So I believe it is something that as a society, everyone should be prepared for. I'll give you an example. Look at someone who is, and I'm using this just to drive a point. Look at someone who they have entered the job market, probably they went to school, they were struggling, and maybe they're a house girl today. Just think about that. And I would not even say house girl, because they're not girls, they're managers. So somebody who is actually managing your home today. If your house manager is not thinking about retirement, if she's not thinking about retirement, was a young person, has been working really well, happy with her job, has been able to do a number of things. But if he or she is not thinking about retirement, then what happens when they are 60 and do not have the energy to do the work that they were doing? Then what happens to them? They do need to be thinking about retirement. The employer can help them, but really they should be proactive in thinking about it for themselves and even asking themselves, so what will I do? So just as I am planning for my retirement, he or she, I should help them, but they should also be thinking about their retirement so that at 70, they are able to retire with grace. So it's still something that, to me, everyone should be thinking about. Think about somebody getting into their own business. Let's say they are into fashion and design. And that is what they're doing, and it is doing quite well today. And this person has been there doing fashion and design for the last 20, 30 years, and they now feel, they're tired, they'd like to scale down. How do they do this? What do they do? How does their life continue even after that? So it's important to actually think all these things through and see how do they plan, because they too will retire or they will scale down. How does life happen at that point? So for me, it's not just something for those who are in formal employment, but this is for actually everyone.
Wow. So for those who have people at their homes, do you think they need to have a retirement scheme for their people that they can also support through?
I believe so. And this is not to say that it necessarily has to be formal. It could be, should be. But I feel that it is good that even this person who is working in someone's home also proactively thinks about their retirement and prepares for their retirement. So if it would call for a formal scheme, that's a good thing. If it calls for them putting money towards, so first of all, securing their future. So if it is building, then they are securing that. If it is a little thinking, them even thinking through, when I don't have the energy to do this job, what will I be doing? So thinking through that. Also putting their monies aside to see that they'll actually have something that they can then rely on at that point, I believe is something that should be done.
Wow. So around the same as well, there has been a trend of, and we talked about the issue of labor costs when you're addressing the issue of retirement package. And there are employers who have observed that the labor cost is going a little bit high. And so they're giving people the option of exiting on an early retirement basis. So number one, from the organizational level, is it the right way to go on managing cost? Is it something wise. And then for me, who is walking in to take that particular option, is it the decision I want to make as a person?
So that's interesting, and I think requires further interrogation. But even as labor costs are going up, taxes are going up, remember, some organizations may want to do certain good things, but may not be in a position to do them. So I think that is also something that we need to take into consideration, because you may look at everything that needs to be done, and when you're looking at your margins in the business, a number of businesses may look at it and realize, you know what, I wish I could, but at this point it's not sustainable. So there is that aspect, and that's why I come back again to say, a lot of it will depend on the individual, and how going forward in many of these instances, a lot of this would need to be looked at proactively by the individual. I'm not saying that they should be the only contributors to this, to their retirement, but if the individual is not really thinking about it, then we are adding to the 85% that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I come back again to say, I've seen many organizations who actually see this as a good to have and would love to do it. But then also we need to be cognizant of the fact that for a number of organizations, it'll get to a point where some of these things will not be viable. And I'm seeing this even from the perspective of organizations moving from something that was the norm many years ago, which was permanent and pensionable employment.
Yeah.
And organizations got to a point where they realized this is not sustainable, and a number of organizations moved to contracts.
Yes.
So you see now, that already tells you that the individual needs to be in the driver's seat
Yes.
for their retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they need to. It would be good for organizations to take it up, but we have to be cognizant that truly, really speaking, and I speak from a point of having been in an organization where you are looking at all the margins and you can see what all that means, to realize that even some really well-meaning organizations may not find that sustainable. So the individual needs to take the driver's seat. It's good to get all the support that you can, but you do need to take the driver's seat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. I think we almost coming to the close of the session, but before I leave you to go, I know you're not a preacher, or I'm not sure about that, but I want you to give a message of hope to my father or my grandfather or grandmother or mother who has proceeded to retirement and things look like they're not working. Additionally, I want you to talk to somebody of my age who is just beginning their career and advise them on how to avoid getting into the 85%, but also you can also give your remarks just to speak to our hearts. Yeah.
So, to my mother and my father out there, and they're just wondering what to do, I would encourage you that there is hope. I am a believer, and I am a firm believer that God does come through and He does help, and there is hope. But what I would also say is that we also need to be realistic, very realistic, and look at what it is we have. Yeah, it is the Lord who asked Moses, "What is in your hand?" So really looking at what is it in your hand, and how can you use that to work for you. So really realizing I'm not in a big office right now. I don't have a secretary. I do not have X and Y, but really looking to see, so what do you have? And how can you make that work for you? And really then putting your energies there and making it work for you, and going down to the ground, so to speak, and applying yourself to it and making it work for you. And then also being realistic in terms of your wants and your needs, and really choosing to live within your means, and looking at your needs as opposed to wanting to fulfill all your wants. Yeah. For those who are getting there, my word of advice would be prepare. It is coming. Prepare. Start thinking about it objectively. Start thinking about where you want to be and how you want to be, and start putting in place what would help you get there. Be realistic about it. Be practical about it. Get the skills. Do your research. But be prepared. Prepare in all ways. Prepare mentally, prepare psychologically, prepare emotionally, and also prepare financially. And then to the young person out there, my word would be that you're young, you're strong, and life is great. And my prayer is that you will live a really long life, and that you will enjoy this life. But then prepare for those years, because a time is coming when you will not have all the energy that you have today. Yeah, but prepare for it. And if you are prepared, then you're able to enjoy the golden years so much better. But even for those in the golden years, there is still hope. But then we need to be realistic about it.
Wow. Thank you. We really appreciate you, Jocelyn. Thank you for coming to us. Seated here, but my heart is touched. And I can just imagine our viewer who is seated there and watching, and I'm sure that has really touched all of us. So we appreciate you as well as a viewer for joining in and just plugging in to listen to all this conversation. Our hope is that you've taken your action items home. Are you young? You have time to decide and swing into action. You are getting there. All is not lost. She has given you the piece of advice on how to just handle that. And so we appreciate you. And we are asking, should you have anything that you want to inquire from Jocelyn, please remember to go to the comment section, drop us the question. You can DM us directly. We will be glad to respond to all your questions. We're in contact with Jocelyn, and we can always seek how your questions will be responded to. Remember to like the video. Remember to share the information widely within and without your circle. So go to the sharing icon, click on that, send it to your people. Let them also benefit from all this wisdom that we've had. Until we see you in the next episode as we continue on Money Conversation, God bless you.